talk about Chicago, you have to talk numbers. Over 80 million albums sold worldwide, one of the biggest grossing concert attractions of all time, and a list of chart-topping singles that are larger than many other groups' entire repertoire. I'm happy to have three of the Chicago Set-Tet with me here backstage at the PNE Coliseum tonight, and we welcome Jimmy, Jason, and Robert. Chicago. First things first, I gotta ask you the secret to longevity. What is the secret to you guys being around so long?
You know, I guess it has to do with, we're very much a playing band. We like to perform, we like to play, so that keeps the juices flowing. And to me, there always feels like there's that one more great album in us that we really need to do, and especially now the 20th album is one that we're going to be working on in 1990. And so that's definitely a carrot that's dangling in front of us.
I think we're just having a good time, and as long as we're having such a good time and people are still enjoying what we do, why stop?
Plus, we subscribe to Longevity magazine.
That's right.
You know? I mean, it works.
Page 20 this week. This
right, yeah. Learn how not to overrun your body by too much exercise.
If I can, your detractors said that it's the end of Chicago upon the departure of Peter Cetera. What are your feelings now that it's all over?
Well, I mean, certainly we were aware of the skeptics, but personally I think that when Terry Kath died, that left us in a lot more difficulty than when Peter left. I mean, sure, when Peter left, it was, we were going to have to regroup a little bit, but I think that nobody is irreplaceable, and we proved it twice now.
It must have been like a dream come true for you.
It was, and it was about 85? 85, yeah. September of 85, so it's been about 4 years. And it's been a lot of fun. A lot of new friends I've made, and gosh, I mean...
You better say that, man.
Yeah, and they're really my favorite people in the world, and I trust them all, and especially Jimmy. No, it's been as Jerry Lewis said, a gas, maybe. You know?
Well, actually,
I think maybe we could speak for him better than he can speak for himself. He's kind of on the spot here. He's really a drag. He doesn't play. He's not a team player. He's been very lax on stage lately. We thought bringing him here in front of the camera, maybe tighten his lip, get him going, back on track. Actually, Jason has been a great asset to the band. He not only plays bass, but he writes great songs and he sings his brains off. So we're very lucky to have found a multifaceted individual. That's beautiful.
Just say you love me for the rest of
When Chicago plays live, what's the repertoire? Does it cover the entire spectrum?
We're doing it all. It's really difficult, obviously, to represent 19 albums in 2 hours of concert time. So what we try to do is let's see which tune on this record makes the most of an impact on these people. So we kind of narrow it down to maybe one tune a record, or whatever songs on any given album seem to have stood out over the period of time, or withstood the test of time, as it were. And some of the original songs, like Robert said, still stand up and people still come to hear them.
A lot of your songs are true classics. I mean, not only really accessible, but timeless.
It's a great feeling. It's something that, in retrospect, I never expected it. It was, I was just, Jimmy too. Jimmy's written songs that he just wrote it.
I wish we knew what that formula was.
See, I think that's the key. I think it's not a formula. I think you just express what's going on in your heart, and the rest is a happy accident.
25 or 6 to 4 remake was a real slap in the face to a lot of people. They felt that we desecrated the cross by remaking the original version. But if anybody had a right to do a remake or an update, I think it was the band that did the original.
How did the decision to redo 25 or 6 to 4 come about?
I had this relentless groove. You get it? I had this groove in my studio in my house, and I couldn't think of any lyric or any real melody per se to go with this thing, so I figured I'd bring it next door to David Foster's studio where we were making the album. And we had been talking about doing a remake of one of our Chicago classic songs from the first couple albums. And Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is I Remember, was one of the nominees. And I brought this track in, and David immediately, you know, it had the same changes as the intro to 25 or 6 to 4, but it had this real halftime awesome groove. And Robert immediately started singing 25 or 6 to 4 over this tape of mine, and it just, boom, it was there. It was just meant to be. And David just went, yeah, the light bulb went off, and it wound up the song.
Chicago number 20 is right around the corner. What have you got in mind for it? Is it going to be a best of? Is it going to be live? What are the ideas going around right now?
I think 20, it's a magic number, the big 2-0, and I think it's going to be a special album from the standpoint of representing 2 decades in the recording industry, and we'd like to think that it's going to be a Chicago album. I'd like to see more brass. I'd like to see more writing within the band. I think all of us would like to participate more as songwriters. 19 and a couple albums before that were certainly worthy albums. They were worthy enterprises, but the songs were largely from outside writers, largely due to lack of pre-production time. This year this album we are planning on spending much more time in writing, in selection of material, in production, in the studio. We're not going to come off the road and go right into the studio. We're going to zero in on every facet of 20. So I think it's because of the extra special time involved, it's going to be an extra special album.